On today's video, I'm going to smoke some chicken, spatchcock style, on the Oklahoma Joe Highland smoker. So let's go. So first we're going to brine the chicken. In order to do this, we're going to get a half a cup of kosher salt, half a cup of rub, and a whole lemon. What we're going to want to do is get a bucket and a brining bag. We're going to put the whole chicken and the lemon cut in half, and then we're going to mix the rub, salt, and with water, pour it in, and keep adding water until the chicken's covered. We're going to keep this overnight in the fridge. All right, after we brined it overnight, we're going to want to rinse it off, take paper towels, and dry it off really good and get the moisture off of it. Now, I'm going to spatchcock the chicken. I'm going to cut the backbone off by going to both sides of the spine until the backbone is removed. Then I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to push down on the breastplate just a little bit in order to be able to push it down like this. So when I flip it over, it lays flat, which will allow even cooking throughout the smoke. On to the second bird, which I'm going to do the same thing to. I want to do all this prep before I go outside and start the smoker. I'm using the Oklahoma Joe, which is a real wood smoker, not a pellet grill. The fact that it's a real wood smoker and not a pellet grill just means you have to tend to it more. So it's better to get your prep done early. Now it's time to season it up. I'm going to do a light layer of AP seasoning, a little salt, pepper, garlic, and then I'm going to do a layer of Holy Gospel Meat Church's seasoning. It's really good. All right, after we get the backside done, I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to take some cooking spray and spray the skin really well. That way the skin will crisp up during the cook and the rub will stick a little better on this side. Once again, I'm going to use a little AP seasoning and then a little more of the Meat Church's Holy Gospel. And you can put on as much of this as you like. You don't have to go too heavy. Poultry, you don't have to go too heavy. A light coating like this will do. Okay, now that I'm seasoning up the second bird, I just want to say, if you want to inject your bird, do that before you rub it. If you want to do that because you want a Cajun flavor or something of that nature, go ahead and do it. As far as doing it to make the bird more juicy, you don't need to do it if you brine. As you'll see at the end, this bird is plenty juicy without doing it. After we get the chicken prepped, it's time to go ahead and start the Oklahoma Joe up. I'm going to take a couple of these fire starters that you can buy, tumbleweed ones. They work really well. And put it over a chimney of coals. And then you're going to want to just wait. It takes about 15-20 minutes until the coals on top start turning white. And then you can dump them in your smoker. So it's been about 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and put the coals in the fire basket because they're ready to go. I'm going to want the pit running around 275 today. And I'm going to use coal as the base, and I'm going to be using hardwood, which is a little mixture of ones I have around, hickory, oak, pecan, as the flavoring source. I'm also putting 1 rack of ribs on. I just thought I would show it, even though this video isn't about ribs. I'll do that video in the future, but I just wanted to show you everything I'm putting on the pit today. So now it's time to put the chicken on. I'm going to put it closest to the firebox around the higher heat so the skin stays crispy. So we'll come and check on it in about an hour and see where we're at. Okay, it's been an hour. The smoke's rolling nice. It's time to get these ribs sprayed and keep the fire going. Everything's looking good. Now that I'm further along in the cook, I'm going to go ahead and put a probe in each chicken. I'm going to put it in the breast meat. And I want to make sure it hits 165, but I don't want it to go too much more than that, so I don't dry it out. I'm going to go ahead and wrap these ribs. More on that in a future video about ribs, but for now I'm going to wrap them and get them back on the smoker. So the probes went off for me. I checked them, they're up to temp. It's time to take them off and let them rest. All right, got the chicken off. Gonna let them rest. Put them on here. I'm going to put some aluminum foil on top for about 15-20 minutes or so, just so the juices can reabsorb into the meat and it doesn't just run everywhere when I cut into it. So anyways, we'll be back and try this in a minute. But I also have the ribs off, so here's a look at them. This video wasn't about the ribs, but I just had to show them. They turned out really well. My wife ate about 4 of them, and she said she doesn't even really like ribs, so there you go. So now it's time to try a piece. I've let it rest for about 15-20 minutes under some aluminum foil on the cutting board. And so I'll go ahead and cut it, and here we go. That smoke flavor. You can't beat it off a stick burner. Pellet grill just does a little light smoke flavor, but stick burners gives you that true smoke flavor. And if you use clean smoke, or I should say if you burn clean smoke, you won't over smoke it where it'll taste bitter. But if you run a clean smoke in your smoker with correct fire management, you'll get a nice clean smoke and everything will taste really well and give you a nice heavy but clean smoke. So anyways, nice and juicy. I can't believe how juicy this is just from brining it. Unless you want, like I said earlier, a Cajun flavor or something, you don't need to inject it. Just go ahead and brine it the night before and it'll be nice and juicy. And as my daughter said, it tastes buttery to her. So there you go. And she doesn't like anything hardly, and she loved this. So it was really good. Spatchcocking it, if you're a little worried about cooking it with temperatures, is the breast meat going to get done before the thighs? Spatchcocking kind of relieves some of that because everything cooks a lot more evenly than it does if you leave it whole. So that's a way to go. So anyways, had nice crispy skin too. Nice crispy skin because you don't spray it. Don't spray your poultry. You don't want to do that. You can spray a Boston butt, a brisket, your ribs, never poultry. So anyways, I hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe, and there'll be a lot more coming to you soon. Thanks again.